ASZC annual retreat. And so we've been doing this for 14 years, quite a while. And it has certainly evolved over time. It used to be we would all get together in Atlanta, and then COVID happened, and now we are doing everything. We have different strategies that we're doing simultaneously, as we can see. So first of all, I want to do like 3 things tonight. I want to do, maybe I'll go 4 things. I want to just orientate everybody just a little bit. And if there's anybody has a question, please, I want to respond to that. I want to say just a few words about the Mission Mountain Zen Center that we have here. And then I want to say a few things about Matsuoka Roshi. And then I'm going to turn it over to Kushin, who is going to have his own remarks that he will want to talk about, and he's going to have a few pictures. So that should be good. So let's see. First of all, I hope everybody has all the information they need to navigate the retreat. This is we're honoring the pioneer of American Zen, our founder, Matsuoka Roshi, on the 85th anniversary of him coming here. So it's a very wonderful occasion. We're going to be talking a lot about Matsuoka Roshi amongst many of us across STO. Many affiliates will be represented. If you've looked at all at the roster of those who are speaking, you will see that. And so what I want to do first, though, is we have the schedule. It's out on the website. Please make sure you have that handy. Make sure you make the calculation to bring it to your time zone, because it is in Eastern time zone. So just do the math, and we've had our challenges getting that straight with everybody here. So take a little time to get that set. We also have the roster of those who are speaking tomorrow, and the next 2 days after that. We have 2 talks a day, and then we finish up with a talk on Sunday morning. Altogether, there'll be 8 talks, but there'll be 12 presenters. So that's very wonderful. The one thing I wanted to mention and emphasize is that the Zoom link for Atlanta, which we are using right now, this will be used 95% of the time. But I did put in the email that I sent to everybody to invite you to welcome you to this occasion and to this retreat. There's a second link, which is Mission Mountain Zen link, and that is only for people who want to do after hours sitting. We end at what turns out to be 7 o'clock Mountain Time, so we're offering another hour, a couple of 25-minute periods for anyone that wants to join wherever you are, but come over to our Zoom link, which is included, and you can join us each day starting today, and we'll go that way. So we're making that offer to just add a little more Zazen. The more the better, huh? And so anyway, I think those are the main points that I wanted to mention. And of course, if there's any question, please raise a hand. It's always, obviously, trying to span 5 time zones is very challenging with one schedule. And so sometimes we're eating at a unique time from what we normally eat, or we take a break at a unique time. So I just say, please embrace this as change and carry on. So
we have a question here. Question.
Oh, do we have a question?
Yes, somebody wants
to.
Please. Oh, yes, please ask the question.
I'm sorry.
I can't hear you real well. If you can come closer to the mic.
Pick up louder.
Yeah.
I apologize if you've already done this. I'm not sure if everyone here knows you. Maybe you could introduce yourself.
Ah, wonderful idea. Wonderful idea. Thank you for that. That's the kind of help I need. My name is Zenku, Jerry Smyers. I've been around Matsuoka Roshi and this lineage for many years. By the way, you're right on cue. I was about to do this. So thank you for that. Let me get to where I want to do that. Yeah, so I started practicing at the Zen Buddhist Temple of Chicago as a student of Kango Roshi's in 1976. I became a disciple, moved to Chicago, started training, and I trained with Kango Roshi, and I got to know Matsuoka Roshi because of annual visits very well. And I trained with Kango Roshi until he passed in 99. Then I stayed at the temple until '05. And then I moved with my wife out to Montana, where I'm currently located, and established Mission Mountain Zen Center. And so that's really my background. I subsequently became a student of Taiyun Roshi and received transmission ultimately with Taiyun Roshi. So that's kind of my background in short. That's very short. I'm happy to respond to specific questions, but I've been around that. I'm very, very fond of this lineage, I have to say, and good to be with you today. And happy to embellish that any more than I need to, if I need to. But I think most of you know me pretty well on the call. So in general, I think that's kind of the orientation. We're going to be sitting from now until Sunday at noon Eastern time. And I encourage everyone to embrace this time of practice. You know, even though we're talking about a lot of other things, the main event is our Zazen practice. And so this is what's the most important thing that we're doing throughout this whole period, is deepening, settling in to our Zazen. You know, we're trying to keep ourselves focused in the present moment, diving into the present moment, grounding ourselves in our posture when we're on our cushion, of course, and settling in the tanden, in the lower abdomen, and allowing that settledness to continue as we eat, as we take care of whatever else we take care of, as we're listening to Dharma talks. And, you know, as Dogen would say, we want to keep dropping body and mind. We want to keep dropping and not dwelling on intellectual activity. We want to just be in the present moment and become fully aware of our awareness. Just dive into your awareness. We don't need to think. This creates confusion. Accept everything that comes up during the retreat as part of our practice. Accept it. Look into it. Don't dwell on it. Let it pass. You know, start training ourselves in this way. This is Zen training. And so, you know, we want to be aware but unattached to that awareness. So let's see. Again, you know, I've trained in this lineage since formally, let's say. I knew Kango Roshi a few years before I became his student, but since '76, so for a while. And next thing I want to do is I just want to say a little bit about Mission Mountain Zen. And we moved out here in '05, and shortly thereafter, of course, my intention was always to establish a Zen community here. We've had the experience of being in several Zen communities over my lifetime, and it's always been the heart of my friends, of my family, and you know, I found it to be wonderfully supportive. So we certainly wanted to do that here. And so we moved here. We were fortunate enough to find a wonderful location. We're on the shore of Flathead Lake. We're looking across the lake, right here, out this way, we're looking at the Mission Mountains. So the Mission Mountain range is a dominant range, beautiful range that dominates this whole valley. And so this is the namesake that we chose for this Zen Center. And so, but we remain a very small, rural country. I'll say it's a country Zen Center. We're nothing fancy, but we do our best, kind of a thing. And so I was fortunate when we first moved here, and I put an ad in the paper about starting a Zen. Let's get together and practice meditation. A local newspaper guy, he saw this, and he came out and interviewed me, and I had a big picture and kind of an ad that ran, an article that ran in the paper. It didn't hurt at all. So through that, I met several key figures. One was John Stromness. He was a student of Genki Roshi, who was a Rinzai teacher who was here for quite a while before I came, and made quite an influence here. And so when I moved here, I met a number of people that knew him and wanted to practice with me. Some of them came, some of them stayed, and some did not. But another person that came along was named Dan Henning, and he was a Fulbright scholar. He was a Theravada monk who lived in Polson right here, and he knew everybody in the whole valley about meditating. So he was really instrumental in getting things started and getting people interested in coming and sitting with us. So I just want to give a nod to some of the help I got in the beginning. And so we've evolved little by little over time. We've evolved into, we have a Wednesday night sitting, we sit a couple of periods, and we do a formal evening service, and we have a Dharma talk and discussion. And that's every Wednesday. We have a monthly, we also have a Tuesday morning, sort of a traditional morning service. We sit Zazen, and then we do a morning service with a robe verse and different chants each Tuesday morning. And then we have one Saturday Zazen Kai a month. We offer 2 5-day sessions a year, and so this is one of those. We call this a retreat, but in the spring we have a little more formal retreat that we call a session, another 5-day. And we celebrate a lot of Buddhist holidays throughout the year, just like Matsuoka Roshi did. And we did at the Zen Buddhist Temple of Chicago. And in addition, I offer Dokusan to students. I have several students that I do Dharma study with. And so we keep quite busy here. I will say that initially we went into Polson, a nearby town. It's a small town. And we offered practice at a yoga center. And that moved around a couple of locations. But then with COVID, when COVID hit, I just retreated back to my home here, and I'm upstairs in my home, and we have a little Zen center. We have a Zendo here that actually works very nicely for small attendees at a session. And so this has worked wonderful with Zoom. As COVID kind of subsided, we've continued to use Zoom almost more than in person, but we still in person, people come for retreats and on occasion some of our weekly activities as well. But it's just fascinating that my reach has gotten more and the attendance has gotten greater because of Zoom, quite frankly. And so anyway, that's just a little bit of background of what we do here at Mission Mountain Zen. And so I will, with that having said, I'm just checking my time. I think we're good.
Questions?
Oh, any questions about that? Anything I didn't say that I should have? Okay.
Were the mountains always walking?
Always, always walking. Yes, they are. They are. Yes, indeed. And it's wonderful to ponder them and to see them do this. Um, so they're clad in white right now, by the way. You know, we had a big rain over the last few days down here, but up there, they're clad in white. They're beautiful, magnificent. And if you look at my website, I will put more pictures. I should put more pictures on my website, but there's a few there that you kind of get an idea of what it looks like.
I'll show them.
And Kushin is going to show pictures from here when I'm finished. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to say so far. In addition, I want to talk about Matsuoka Roshi a little bit, and I think that we're going to hear a number of speakers talk about Matsuoka Roshi, so I won't overdo it. I do have like a biographical talk which I like to give on some occasion, but I won't do that tonight. But we know quite a bit about his life, and we're very fortunate to have run into Matsuoka Roshi and his lineage in our lifetime, is the way I feel. And just a little bit of a few things I wanted to say. Number one is that, Matsuoka Roshi, he was born, by the way, in 1912. And evidently, by the way, we went there in 2015, and again, you'll see some pictures in a few minutes from that, some pictures. But we went there, and he was born in 1912, and when we were there visiting, we went to Sotoshu, which is Soto Zen headquarters in Japan, and we got a 4 or 5 page document that was the biographical information that Sotoshu had on Matsuoka Roshi, which was extremely valuable. It told us a lot of things that we didn't know. For example, his given name, which we also think, I think, is also his Jukai name. So I think when he was born, he received Jukai at birth. And his name was Soyu, was given by his father, who was a priest, and he is in a family of priests, Zen priests that go back hundreds of years, 300 years or more. And so his father was Sentoyu. And so later, when he came here and we talked to Matsuoka Roshi, and Taiyan Roshi is very good for sharing this, and with all of us, he said that Sentoyu lit a fire of faith in Zen practice and in Buddhism that never was extinguished. So very sweet indeed. So anyway, I'll give you a few other bits of information I think are very interesting. So he was born Soyu. It means trusted friend. And if you knew Matsuoka Roshi, that was perfect. He was ordained a priest under his father at age 12. And his given name was Zengaku, which means Zen mountain. That was his ordination name. And then at age 19, he received transmission from his father. And so just interesting, someone who's raised from a Japanese perspective. I don't think that this is terribly uncommon, but this was certainly Matsuoka Roshi's grounding. He trained in Sojiji, the main Soto Zen monastery, one of them in Japan. He went to Kamazawa University, where many priests go and got his degree and trained there in Zen Buddhism. He's a very strong and clear and compassionate person. He came to this country in 1940, and it was at the behest of the Soto Zen establishment, Sotoshu in Japan. They asked him to go, he agreed, and he went. Fortunately, he had learned some English. I think this was one of the reasons that made him a good candidate to come to this country. But lo and behold, he came right on the right on the beginning of World War II relative to the United States. And so quite a auspicious but daunting time for him to come. And that's a lot of things we are learning about him. And we are putting together a film documentary relative to Masaoka Roshi. That is one of the great mysteries as to him coming and how he's navigated through the internment camp and actually wound up in Chicago, where he did in 1949 found a Zen center, ultimately called what we call it now Zen Buddhist Temple of Chicago. And so he came to this country with the idea of spreading Buddhism, helping the Japanese community, but also spreading Buddhism in the West. He was one of the first Zen priests to come to this country in 1940. Not the first, but one of the very first. And he's the first Zoto Zen teacher to teach Americans how to practice Zazen. The current person who's the head of Sotoshu in this country, Akiba Roshi, he's out in Oakland. He has a training center, a center there, but he's the bishop of North America from the Sotoshu in Japan. He's the one that said that we recognized Soyu Matsuoka as the first Soto Zen teacher to teach actually Americans, how to sit in Zazen. Other teachers came and they spoke of the philosophy, but they did not teach the essence of Zazen. So I think this is quite a wonderful distinction. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared that. One of the things that I sometimes offer, which I keep coming back to, so I hope that doesn't cause anybody any angst. But here's what I want to say. This is kind of a personal note on my part. When I think of Matsuoka Roshi, I see his warm, sincere spirit, his strong resolve and compassion to help everyone in their life and along the Buddha path. He was very strong advocate of Zazen practice. Matsuoka Roshi taught that everything we encounter in life is part of our Zen training. One of his favorite expressions was Nichi Nichi Koriko Jitsu. Every day is a fortunate day. In Zen practice, we find our way each day, each moment of our lives. Each moment has something to teach us if we are open to receive it and take care of it. So I think that very much, comes from the heart, from my experience, and many things I could say, and I have said in the past, but I won't belabor everything. But the one thing I wanted to come back to, I think this is great myself. I hope it hits you this way too. But on our website, we have this quote. Many people question whether or not a person of another religion can sit in meditation, Zen meditation. And Matsuoka Roshi says, why not? Meditation is to empty your mind and to purify it. It does not presuppose any religious creed. I think this is one of the most marvelous statements. It says so much about Zen practice. Zen practice is, people say, well, is Zen a philosophy? Is it a religion? Well, it's a great question, because when you look at it, it's not about accumulating philosophy. It's not about learning all kinds of intellectual at all. But along the way, we have thousands of teachers historically that we learn from, that taught things. And so there's an accumulation of some knowledge, but it's always a finger pointing in the direction of truth. And Zazen is how we actualize that truth. And so Zazen is simply how we clarify the confusion of our monkey mind, how we keep clarifying and allowing the innate Buddha nature, which is within all of us, to come forth, And so I love this, because this is something that could be said to anybody, a Christian. Well, here, this is how this practice can help you. So anyway, I wanted to point that out a little bit. And so with that, I'm starting to wind down. And one more thing I wanted to do. I thought, as a conclusion, I would like to share something from one of my favorite talks by Matsuo Kuroshi. And think of this as Matsuo Kuroshi is here giving a Dharma talk, inspiring us in our Zazen practice during this retreat. And this is called Shoshin, or beginner's mind. So Shoshin means beginner's mind. We must always keep our beginner's mind in Zen. Exactly what does this mean? It is similar to having that spirit of newness or freshness that comes over us when spring finally comes. We walk out in the fresh air and delight in the new flower bed that appears, buds that appear everywhere. We have caught the spirit of the essence of the new life, even if briefly. This is like a satori. We have felt some of the essence of life, and we have grasped it in those few moments of early spring. But the spring does not continue. We become accustomed to seeing the buds and flowers and grass growing on the lawns as time goes on. Soon spring continues into summer, and that precious spirit of life we had sensed becomes forgotten, or we take it for granted. Can you see a parallel in Zen meditation? As soon as we sit in Zazen, our Zen meditation, we are entering into the world of enlightenment. Our original nature is there within us. As soon as we practice Zen, we have found it. It is not something we should be seeking after, and it is not something we learn. We cannot find our original or Buddha nature by reading about it. We already have it. This is the great spirit of Zen. It is already there. Our problem is keeping our mind clear and empty so that our original nature can express itself to us. We can do this if we always keep a beginner's mind. This idea is quite profound. It means that new persons in the Zen way have it. It means that persons that have lived Zen for years can have it. It means practicing Zen without attachment and with an empty mind or mu also means living moment by moment in Zen. Both ideas are so deep and are the essence of Zen. When we sit in Zazen, we are entering into enlightenment. We just sit moment by moment without expecting anything. With an empty mind, we are not attached to enlightenment, and we just allow our mind to be empty, reflecting our original minds. The Buddha nature, it is in the world around us. It is not something we must seek or find. It is within us, and it is not apart from us. This thought is so often very difficult for Westerners to understand, because Western culture is basically dualistic, and separates mind and matter, body and spirit, in its philosophy and even in the nature of its languages. But in Zen, we learn that all is just appearances, and we learn to see that our mind's eye, from our mind's eye, that all is really one. In Zen, we do not separate our sitting and meditation from the time we spend doing other things. This meditative spirit continues on throughout the day, as we deepen our practice. This is why we say in Zen, do not look for enlightenment. Do not have it as a goal. If you do so, you will not have a beginner's mind. Your mind will be attached to something, and this attachment will prevent you from letting your original mind, Buddha nature or Mu, to express itself within you. Attachment to anything in life is that which causes wrong ideas and suffering. Attachment to anything in life is that which causes wrong ideas and suffering. So this, I think, is such wonderful. Our minds remain clear and unclouded, reflecting our Buddha nature and able to take care of whatever comes up. And this is a marvelous talk. I could go on and on, but maybe that is enough. My experience has been, the more I understand Zen practice, the deeper and deeper is my appreciation for what Matsuoka Roshi has done, what he says, and how he, very simple, he's a simple but sincere to the bone, always wanting to help students and of all walks of life, of course. And so anyway, those are some of the things that I wanted to tell you about Matsuoka Roshi. But he'd be very happy for us to be talking about him to some degree. He might say, well, that's too much talk about me. But he would be very happy that we're together practicing Zazen. He would be very, very much rooting us on and encouraging us. So
Zenku, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Now, what we typically do on a Sunday morning is John Hinman will field the questions online. So we'll ask you to do that and watch for hands or ask for. Sometimes they can put a message in the chat box if you want to read their questions. And we take turns from here to there. So I think we'll start in the room here and see if anyone has something they would like to ask or bring up.
I want to do our whole talk first.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's short. Does anybody have a question or comment? We also have another presentation by Kushin, and we'll have another question and answer at the end of that. But I'd be happy,
Okay.
Sometimes something comes up and you might forget about it later, and if you have something you wanted to ask or say about Matsuoka Roshi and my remarks, please raise a hand or step forward.
We have some few relative newcomers here. And do you have any follow-up that you would like to be cleared? Might step a little closer to the mic.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you very much. This is my first time at the center, so I'm very grateful to just sit here to learn and to learn from other people around me. So thank you. Thank you.
So you're not a relative newcomer. How about you?
Very glad you're
Anything?
coming. Good.
Or anything?
I should have something. So
Really do.
I usually do, yes. I met Matsuoka a couple of times, but I was sort of out of the loop there with Congo and you and everybody else. But I can say one thing, and I'll probably say it again a few times. One thing about him was he was kind of a little man. Didn't have much to say. But he was like a mountain. He was sitting like a mountain, triangular kind of. And that's what I remember. And I remember more things, but I'll have to think about it. But thank you for your description, and I can see how much it means to you personally. Um, and here we are. I mean, I'm sort of in the behind cohorts, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. You know what, you reminded me of something, thank you for bringing that up. You know, I titled my talk, I don't know if anybody noticed that I titled my talk, Mission Mountain Feeling. And
Yeah.
it was kind of a joke because one of our favorite sayings about Matsuoka Roshi is he was asked one time how, he was asked by a student, a young student, let's say, how does one know if one is making progress in Zen? How do you know? And he thought for a minute and he said, sitting mountain feeling. And, you know, his priesthood name is Mountain. And so that was quite fitting. And that remark, it stands up as one of the hallmark comments that he made. And I agreed. He demonstrated that sitting mountain feeling even when he was walking about amongst you, but sitting in Zazen to be sure. But
He also said, I don't know if you ever heard him say this, but he said Zazen looks like a mountain, but actually it's a volcano.
very good, very good. And if there's no other question at the moment, I will turn it over to Kushin, and he has something he was going to share with us to carry on our report.
Zazen, did you have a historical question?
Yes, here you go.
I do not.
Okay, great.
Let's go. Yeah. Almost ready. All right, is the light at the top? The light is as much as I'm gonna get.
Yes, it is as big as it gets.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, good evening, everyone.
We have the remote, the white remote. And I'll see, maybe I can do this.
Zenku Sensei, who is my teacher, has said a wonderful opening. I'm going to try to illustrate, no, I'm going to need more. Sorry. I'm going to try to illustrate what Zenku Sensei opened with through some pictures. First, a couple comments. I'd like to greet you all to the fall retreat. As Zenku said, there's early snow in the Montana mountains. Temperatures work to get above 55 degrees in the day, and frosts welcome us each evening. Winter's coming, but not quite yet. My name is Sayun Kushin Jim Parker. As I mentioned, Zenku Sensei is my teacher. And let me give you a little bit of my background, and then we'll get into some pictures. I met with Zenku Sensei through a social gathering in 2013, and no surprise at all, at some point we got around to talking about Buddhism and Zen, and he mentioned that he was a priest, and maybe I'd like to come and sit Zazen with him sometime. Well, I took him up on that offer, and it might have been a mistake for him and his family because I've never left and remain so. Try to come up here personally if I can, Zoom if I need to. I'm about an hour and a half away in Missoula, Montana, and it has been a delight and a cornerstone of my life ever since. I became a disciple in 2017 and a novice priest in 2023. I've had the pleasure to come to Atlanta several times in person, sitting on retreats. I've sat on the STO board of directors, both as at large, also as vice chair and chair. And I encourage any of you.
What the STO is, Kushin,
Yep.
Might explain what the STO is? STO?
Oh, what is STO? STO, Silent Thunder Order, is the overarching order of all of these affiliates that you'll hear about throughout the week, including Mission Mountain Zen. Thank you, Roshi. We sometimes abbreviate, forgetting that not everybody knows the abbreviations. My apologies. So what I'd like to start off doing, my talk will be only twofold. One, I will show you some pictures briefly of Mission Mountain Zen over the years since I've been involved. I am a photographer. I like taking pictures and video. And then we'll get into some pictures that I took during our trip to Japan in 2015. But I'll give an introduction to that in just a minute. But first, I'd like to just try to show you a few pictures with Kosetsu Sensei's help on the screen. And Kosetsu, if you could give us picture number 1, please.
This is of the Mission Mountain Zen set.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
just,
Yes, please.
To get there, I didn't know which one you were starting with, so.
Kosetsu will do it. He'll just take over the screen, I think.
Okay, well, let's see if he does.
There, this moment.
You bet. This is when you hope you have some good popcorn while you're waiting for the trailers.
There, guys, do you see the photo on the screen there?
We don't see a photo. Yes.
Here we go.
So this first picture, as Zenku was saying, shows you Flathead Lake, which is literally what we get to see from the Zendo here out to the Mission Mountains. And they kind of look just about like this right now with the early season snow at the top of the range. These mountains go up to over 10,000 feet, and I know that because I've climbed up into them on several occasions in the past. Just beautiful. Next picture, please, number 2. And Zenku Sensei in the Zendo here at Mission Mountain Zen. Picture number 3, please. These are just some pictures during one of the early retreats in the Zendo. You'll get a little sense of the space here. It's very intimate. And those windows that you see beyond look out onto the lake directly. It's only about 15 feet away. Number 4, please. This is during one of our morning services, and Gatsuzan, who is with the affiliate in Wichita, who will be talking later, is acting as Doan at this time. Picture 5, please. And like other places in the world, there are cherry blossoms here too in the spring at Mission Mountain Zen with the lake forming the background. Picture number 6, please. These were participants in a retreat in 2016. Some were here from Canada. We had an affiliate up in Canada for a while, and we still do, in the Atlantic of Canada. But a number of folks, some were here for their first time, Jukai. Others were working on either discipleship or perhaps even working towards their priest robes. But again, you can see the intimacy of our little Zendo here and a lovely place to spend some time. Yes, next, number 7, please. This is just an example of what we're doing right now, which is having a Dharma talk. And you can see that we have, of course, like many others, embraced online so that whether you're here in person or you're calling in, we can all be present together and study and sit zazen together. And we have Katsuryu over there on the right in the background. He comes over from Bellevue, Washington, and we are always delighted when he gets here. Slide number 8, please. This was in 2023, July of 2023, when yours truly was getting ordained as a novice priest. Somehow we put about 30 people into this small zendo, and I had to do 550 prostrations during all that. It was summertime. Benji, my dear friend in the front with his back to you, was handing me towels at times so I could take the sweat off my suddenly clear of hair brow. And Zenku Sensei was our priest doing the ordination. It was a lovely day. Number 9, please. Some more Zazen, which if you came up here at any time, this is what you'd see more regularly than anything else. Those of us sitting on our cushions, facing the wall, or in the interior, doing Zazen together. Number 10, please. This was during Katsuryu's novice ordination as a Zen priest. This was back in 2025, actually, just earlier this year. And you will see that, again, Zenku is the residing priest, and they are smudging, at this point, one of his robes. It was a lovely time. Number 11, please. And this goes back to 2021. If you can't guess, it's now summertime again. And Jerry's wife and our amazing Tenzo, Teresa, is on the right-hand side of the row, giving us a little rose at the end. And Jindo, who also practiced with us, is 2 in from Teresa. She will be sitting with us soon. We see Katsuryu. We see Kanzan on the left coming in from San Francisco and Oakland, but he, of course, met everyone in Chicago, Gatsuzan as well. So a lot of friends and neighbors are in this picture. Then the final picture in this set, please, number 13. Day is done. Time to get some sleep. Again, you can see this is looking from the Zendo window out to the lake. There's an island just across from us, and we're going to pack it in and get ready for another day. Thank you. Back to me for a moment, please. So thank you. That's a quick tour through Mission Mountain Zen, just to finish up from Zenku Sensei's remarks. I'd like to move into the deeper part of this for me and for us, I hope. Soon after I started sitting and practicing with Zenku Sensei in 2014, I heard that priests and others from STO were planning a trip to Japan in 2015. I understood that their hope was to bring some cameras and film Matsuoka Roshi's life in Japan before he left for America in 1940. I was old enough not to be terribly shy, so I said, could I go? And I'd be happy to do some videography to support the trip if that was possible. And soon I was packing for Japan. The trip was heading to Japan, as I say, specifically to video places that Matsuoka Roshi grew up, his home temple, that, as Sensei said, has been in his family's leadership for hundreds of years, where he went to college, what training temples he spent time in. We visited the headquarters, Sotoshu in Japan. And for me, as a new practitioner, it was like drinking out of a fire hose. And meeting all of the ancestors of Zen in Japan, including Master Dogen Zenji and Matsuoka Roshi himself, who I never met in person. It was October 2015. The pilgrims from America included Tayun Elliston Roshi from Atlanta, Zenku Smyers Sensei from Montana, Nyoze Nat Brown Sensei from Nashville, Hosen Peter Hochler, then from Utah, now from Oregon, Tessen from Chicago, who's with us tonight, Chase Breedlove from Atlanta, our main videographer, and myself, trying to scramble up behind everybody else and stay in line the best I could. we would meet our guide when we landed in Osaka. So now I'd like to show you some pictures of that trip and give you a sense of what we saw and what you might see hopefully soon in a video that we're putting together. Let's start with picture number 1, please. Cosette, are you there?
Okay, it's just taking me a moment to.
Oh, you
Well,
got
he's
no
working
problem. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't said something wrong to you and you'd already left. So yes, this is the iconic Mount Fuji. In October, at least in this year, it had no snow at the top, but certainly we knew we were in Japan. Next picture, please. Landing in Osaka, where we met our guide, who would help us go to the places we wanted to go. Each city we found had a unique specialty in their cuisine. And so our guide brought us to the best pancake house in Osaka. We belly up to the bar, not like in the United States, because this was a hot bar, literally. They would come over and they would cook your meal right in front of you. The bar went around the room. Everybody had their own pancakes. And by golly, we were in Osaka. Number 3, please. Temples were everywhere, and we visited many. Some of great renown, like this one in Kyoto to the north, in Nara to the east. And we also visited Kyoto to the north in the first week or so of our trip. This is Nara's Todaji Temple, and it holds one of the largest metal copper Buddhas in the world. And this building, this temple, is the largest wooden structure in Japan. Number 4, please. This is the great Buddha within that great hall. And again, one of the largest Buddhas in Japan. It was just extraordinary. You would go in, you'd walk all the way around. You get a sense of the magnitude of this temple and the size of this Buddha. You see some of those pillars holding up the roof, seemingly numerous stories above us as we walked through. It was a great introduction, no question where we were anymore. Number 5, please. And of course, we have to eat. And almost every morning, this was a typical breakfast that we get to choose. You could choose the Western breakfast, or you could choose the Eastern breakfast. I always went with the Japanese breakfast. It was so good. Lots of fish and seafood, as you guessed. Lots of pickled veggies, tofu, and so much more. It was such a delight. Picture number 6, please. And these are all very much in summary of our trip. This is heading west. We had a day in Hiroshima, and this is at the Peace Park. And you can see all the way through this arch, all the way to the very back, that is that building that is an iconic building after the bomb dropped, one of the few remaining structures in all of Hiroshima. And it was created with this archway in the park, so it would always be seen, always remembered. It was a very moving day for all of us, particularly going through the museum. We had dropped off peace cranes at the Children's Peace Park within this larger memorial ground, but it was deeply moving for all of us.
Let me add
Number
something.
7, please.
Kushin.
Yes.
That's
Yes, please.
that's also where the Matsuoka Roshi's family lived, near Hiroshima.
Yes, as we will get to in just a moment. Thank you, Sensei. All right, now number 8, yes. As we traveled, we weren't always in our robes, sometimes just in our street clothes, and this is, as you might guess, Zenku Sensei and Tessen. They must have found something humorous along the way, but this is our typical way of moving around. Sometimes we had robes. And when we did, it was quite extraordinary to see Americans wearing Zen robes, and we would often get stopped by folks, Japanese and others, that would ask us what we're doing, and the next thing you know, we'd all be chanting the Heart Sutra together, whether in Japanese or English. But this happened regularly when we were out and about, and it was quite touching for all of us. Number 8, please. At almost every temple, and some particularly, there were Zen gardens. There is so much to learn about Zen gardens. I've only literally started to rake the path to get to a Zen garden myself, but I'm extremely interested in them and the designs and what the meaning of them are. There are dry ones. There are covered with moss, stones covered with moss. There are some that have both the white stone, which we think of Zen gardens, plus some other features, very interesting, and they were very numerous in many places that we went. Number 9, please. Yep, picture number 9. Yep, thank you. Within many of the temples that we visited and walked through, there was extraordinary artwork. Some very ancient, some more contemporary, all within Buddhist paneling of pictures or landscapes or individuals that have become known to many of us over the years. But just extraordinary artwork, and you could literally just walk up to it and take a close look if that's what appealed to you. Number 10, please. We would stop for lunch in some of the temples that sometimes we were overnighting and other times we were just visiting for the day. And almost every meal we had, there were 5 or 6 courses that were generously brought to us. We all got very used to chopsticks if we weren't already. And again, at least speaking for myself, most of the time I wasn't sure even what I was eating, but it was delicious. And we just kept getting treats like this throughout our stay, and we were well nourished as well. Number 11, please. Many places we visited had to do with some of our ancestors, and particularly Master Dogen Zenji. This was Dogen's memorial at Mount Hiya, which is a Tendai Zen monastery where Dogen studied and became a priest. He also had studied Rinzai Zen at that time and was also a priest of the Rinzai heritage of Zen. And after his trip to China that came soon after his stay here, he would begin and introduce Soto Zen in Japan, and that was roughly in 2028. But we all went down through this beautiful forested path down to this memorial. We hardly knew it was even here until we got here. And the big stone in the back, if you look carefully, it's broken up just like our rakusas are in that same pattern. And when we were down there by ourselves, we all just got together and chanted the Heart Sutra. We felt it was the right thing to do. Number 12, please. And many of the temples we visited, particularly when we were in our robes, the abbot or the officiating priest would inquire what we were doing. And often they would offer us special admissions to certain places within the temple grounds. Or in this case, they asked us if we would like to ring the evening bell for the entire community that this temple was in. And they allowed us to take turns ringing the bell at 5 o'clock. This is Nyoze from Tennessee, who was on the trip. And it was really touching for us. And we were treated so well when we were in Japan by everyone. Folks just on the streets, all within the temple grounds and associates. It was just so welcoming, so sincere. We really sunk into this beautiful culture that we were visiting. Number 13, please. You never knew what would come next. And suddenly there were some women dressed in their kimonos, very traditionally. They were very kind and wanted to know what we were doing. We wanted to know what they were doing. And they were very generous to allow me to take a picture. It was just a delight. Number 14, please. We then took a day when we were down near Hiroshima, as Roshi had said earlier. The home temple of Matsuoka Roshi is what we're looking at here. It's called Tenjoji. It's just south of Hiroshima on one of the many small islands, connected by taxi. We roughly knew where we thought we were going, and we all took taxis over to this island, somewhere close to where we thought the temple was. We got out of the taxis, asked them if they would take our call later in the day when we wanted to get home, and off they went. And we were sitting on a sort of a mountainside area with a lot of streets and going, okay, now what? And we kind of looked around and kind of pulled apart some bushes here and there and saw some steps leading up to temple doors. We had a time prearranged to show up, and we didn't want to knock on the doors earlier than the prearrangement. And by golly, right when the time occurred, the doors opened, and Matsuoka Roshi's nephew, who had taken over the temple since the eldest son, Matsuoka Roshi, had gone to America, it was left to some of his other brothers and eventually nephews to run the temple on his behest after his father had died. But we spent a lovely afternoon there, and as soon as we got inside, the gentleman, the nephew, walked to the front and began chanting. We fell in line to follow through a service, and afterwards, next picture please. We all took a picture together, or most of us, the cameramen were taking the shots. And that is the gentleman who now was in his 80s, I believe, and the nephew of Matsuoka Roshi. And after the service, we all sat down around tables. We had tea, we had snacks that he had, and sweets that he had brought. And through our guide, who translated between his nephew and us, Elliston Roshi asked questions, and he answered. And again, it's sort of like a game of telephone, going through translations back and forth, but we learned so much. He was very gracious with his time and his efforts. We learned a lot about the very beginning of Matsuoka Roshi's life at that point. Next picture, please. And that day we felt was a true success. We hoped we'd be able to meet his nephew and visit the home temple, but we were worlds away when we made the plan, and somehow it all fell together, and it was a lovely day. Next picture, please. One of our next stops when we got to Tokyo was to visit Kamizawa University, which, as Sensei said earlier in his talk, is where many Buddhist priests go to get their collegiate training, both as academics to an extent, but as training to become Zen priests. And Matsuoka Roshi went here, as did Uchiyama Roshi. In fact, they probably meditated together in the same classes and halls. And so a few of us, you can see on the right-hand side here, were eating away with the students, who kind of looked at us with a little bit of a curiosity, I might say, and we engaged with many of them and met more of them later on. Slide number 18, please. This is the meditation hall at Kamizawa University, where we were taken once we met the college president of the day, and we had exchanged gifts, and we did more chanting together, and he opened up and asked us to chant the Heart Sutra in Japanese with him. And I think everyone but perhaps myself had it memorized in Japanese. So we passed the test at any rate early on. And they then again continued to welcome us, show us around. We sat zazen here and met some of the young students, and Peter had brought some Chicago Cubs baseball shirts and gifted it to the two young students, and they were just tickled and super excited. And again, a lovely day and another piece of Matsuoka's upgrowth, if you will, in Japan before coming to America. Next picture, please. Everywhere we went in some of the temples, of course, there is bamboo. And it's not your kids' bamboo that you see around here. These were 40 feet tall, 4, 5, 6 inches sometimes in diameter. And as the wind would blow, you would just hear them clank against each other, the leaves brushing the wind on the top. And in many places, we had the opportunity to sit in meditation in these gardens. It was just lovely. Number 20, please. One of the stops we went to, yours truly here, was the floating Torii Gate. Again, a small island off the southern coast of Honshu, the main island. And this gate behind me, which we may see again, I can't remember if I'm included, but at high tide like it is now, it looks just like this. So as you can see a boat, it's a fairly good sized boat behind me. This is a huge, huge Torii Gate. And at low tide, it sits on the bottom of the basin of the bay here. And people can walk out as we did and walk around it and see it tower over you. And then at high tide, it literally floats in space there before settling again every tide that comes in and out. It was an amazing place, and we had a wonderful time there. Next picture, please. We also visited Soto Shu in Tokyo, the headquarters of Soto Zen in Japan, to get all that background information and interview one of the priests there, one of the head directors of Soto Shu. This is Tessen looking about as serious as you can see Tessen looking. Mostly he's sharing anecdotes with us and making us laugh and giggle, and very stoic presence as we were getting ready to go up to Soto Shu and meet folks. Next picture, please. And then again, these are some of the iconic things we think of when we think of Japan. This is one of the largest pagodas still standing. Many of these pagodas and other buildings and temples have burned once, twice, several times. Perhaps there was an earthquake that toppled them. They were rebuilt. And I learned, which I hadn't known before, we didn't go into most pagodas because they're a place where they're burial sites for many priests and others whose last relics remain within these pagodas. But again, just beautiful in every direction. Next picture, please. In Tokyo is one of the two major Soto Zen teaching monasteries. This is Sojiji, and this is all of the 7 characters that I'm alluding to, many of whom you know already or you're getting to know us. Chase is on the left-hand side. He was our main videographer and is now handling the documentary for us. And you can see the rest of them lined out in order. Beautiful, huge training temple. And we were delighted to be there, and we had quite a tour. Next picture, please. This is one of a very famous old scroll of Bodhidharma that we saw in one of the temples with ornate flower arrangements, but very simple as well. And again, just seeing some of this artwork from centuries past, extraordinary. Let alone just 100 years. Next slide, please. We'd wander through some of these temple hallways into these rooms that would have extraordinary pieces to view. As you can see, we were just entranced in this particular portrait of, I can't see who it is right now, could have been Dogen himself, likely so. But again, just these sacred halls were amazing. Next picture, please. This is just a very small section of Tokyo. It is no small city. It is a giant. We're about 24 flights up in our hotel looking across to give just a sense, and it just goes on and on and on in every direction. And then underneath what we're looking at is a whole nother world, a whole nother city of the underground, where you catch trains and other devices to travel around, or you do your shopping, or you get your food, or you go to restaurants or nightclubs. I mean, you could, and we did, get lost in those underground cities. Just extraordinary. And again, Tokyo was an amazing place. Next picture, please. This is, I forget the name, maybe Roshi or Zenku will remember, but this is a very famous intersection in Tokyo where literally hundreds of people, when the lights change, cross back and forth. Tourists are taking pictures like me. Others are just trying to get to their next stop along their daily path. But literally, day in, night and day, hundreds of people line up from 5 or 6 different entryways, and we all cross. The extraordinary thing I found in Japan was everybody lines up quietly, everybody walks quickly but directly, there's no pushing or shoving, it's orderly. It's very different than New York City, Los Angeles, or San Francisco, I'll tell you that much. Next picture, please. Roshi found a new friend at one of the temples we visited, and we were having a lunch break or something or other, and yours truly couldn't help but take this picture. It seemed like they were friends of long ago and back again. Next picture, please. After we left our guide in Tokyo, the intrepid pilgrims, there were 5 of us left, found our way up to Fukui Prefecture, which is in the northwest corner of Honshu, the main island. And this is where Dogen's own temple, Eiheiji, still stands and is the other major training facility for young monks becoming priests, who would then take their 2 to 3 years in Eiheiji, travel back to their small communities, and become the priests for the rest of their life serving their community. Next slide, please. It's an extraordinary, extraordinary monastery and grounds. We stayed the night there. We were given special discompensation to be able to do some video filming, and invited to go to the morning service the next day, where they woke us up at 4 a.m., took us through unbelievable halls that were polished clean as glass, upstairs, around corners, more stairs, more corners, opening up into the Soto Hall, where during our stay in 2015, we were all put into our area to observe the morning service, and then about 200 training monks and their teachers filed in close to 5 a.m., and we were part of a morning service. Next picture, please. This was in the hallway of the service in the morning. You can see us in the foreground, and then the training monks and their teachers and the priests were conducting a morning service. Extraordinary to watch from my standpoint as a novice practitioner, as a Westerner, as someone new to Buddhism, not new to Buddhism, but new to Zen. And here we were in the home temple of Dogen Zenji, and a front row seat to what it must be like to grow up and train as a young monk in Japan. very rigorous. You know, they're up at 3 a.m. They sit and practice all day, clean, eat, and are in bed by 9, only to do the same thing again and again and again. So we got a glimpse into this extraordinary hall, this Soto hall, where the monks have their services, and we really got a very intimate understanding of what it must be like to be a young monk training to become a priest in Japan. Next picture, please. The next day, we were headed off to our next stop, and the priest that had been assigned to us showed up. He was heading back to his home temple for a brief sojourn, and we were obviously telling some tall tales and yucking it up a little bit in one of the train stations. But this is how it worked. First, it would be very formal. The next moment, we're laughing together on the sidewalks, we're telling stories and tales, we're listening to each other, we're chanting together, and we're all just taking care of one another. Last picture, please. End of day, end of trip for us. This was a very quick tour of a 3-week stay in Japan, but it was one of the more extraordinary times that I've ever had. I've gone back to Japan since then, and I hope to go back again next April for a few weeks. And I wouldn't argue, I would just darn well state, if you get a chance to go to Japan and Buddhism and Soto Zen is your thing, dive in, because it's extraordinary. You'll be welcomed. You'll be treated like a friend and guest at the same time, and you will come away stronger, richer, and more attuned to our practice than you were before. Thank you so much. Very good. So again, if you have questions for either myself or Zenku, please have at it, and we'll do our best to answer what we can.
Kaizen.
Yes, I remember you said that sometimes you wore robes and sometimes you didn't. Was there a specific thing that determined that? And when you did you also wear vestments like rakusu or kesa, or just the robes?
Yeah, thank you. We did wear our rakusus or wagesas or whatever our trimmings were when we were out. They weren't always around our necks if we were traveling or having food or something. And most of the time, a lot of times we were in our robes because we were on a pilgrimage. And we tried to treat it with that level of our own authenticity. Often when we were certainly meeting with others at temples or special places, we were wearing our very best vestments. And we found that when we wore them, and sometimes even when we didn't, people were curious, and they'd share with us their thoughts. They'd ask us about America, about our practice, why we were here. But we also found that those that were already in Japan and were invested in this case, Soto Zen Buddhism, when they saw us as Westerners clearly coming to their country to come visit their places, that gained a lot of respect in their eyes. And so we tried our best to be in our garments as much as we could. It wasn't always practical, especially on days that we were traveling and whatnot. But for much of the trip, we wore our robes and as appropriate, our vestments as well. Yes, Tessin.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to sort of bat this over to Hojo. When we were at ASZC, speaking to one of the officials there, Hojo interviewed him. And one of the questions that you asked Sensei was, not just about the great traditions in there and so forth and the history, but, it's like in the present day, what inspires you? Do you remember the reply?
What inspired him?
Yeah, or
Oh,
are they as Buddhists in Japan, as Zen Buddhists?
yeah. And no, I don't remember the answer to that one.
It was, I believe they said it is you folks coming here that is a big inspiration to us. And
That's
so
what I
we
thought you
were,
were getting. I thought you were getting at. I remember that as a general kind of response to the senior people at Eiheiji and Sojiji. The fact that 7 of us bothered to come to Japan on a special expedition to trace Matsuoka's footsteps, that was very encouraging to them. Matsuoka Roshi once said Zen will find its rebirth in America. And so I think they were encouraged to see us. Thank you for that. We thought we would be a nuisance to everybody. We were.
Well, if there are no other questions, I'm glad we got to share
Kaizen
some.
has one.
Okay.
Kaizen has one.
You mentioned going to Masuoka Roshi's home place, his place of birth. I don't remember if you mentioned the name of that.
The temple was Tenjoji. I don't remember the name of the island, Roshi or Sensei. Do you?
I don't, but Tenjoji. Yeah.
Tenjoji is the temple, the home temple of Matsuoka Roshi's family and the one he was brought up in, yes.
Kind of a suburb of Hiroshima.
Yeah, there are so many little islands, but many of them are connected by roadways, bridges between the mainland and these little islands, which is why we could take a taxi from Hiroshima over to the island and then try to find the temple. It was a little overgrown, We found some stairs and said, well, maybe these are those, and climbed up them, and there was this temple sitting up there, and we go, well, if the door opens at 1 o'clock, we'll know we're in the right place, and by golly, it did.
Kaizen, you can probably Google Tenjoji, Japan, and it will probably locate it for you.
I'll do that. I was just curious because in the travel documents that I've come across from Matsuoka, it gave the name of a place that is located on an island off of Yamaguchi. Anyway, a particular prefecture, and the name of the town is not something that I can find anywhere.
Well, the family may have moved as well, so the temple we visited may not have been the original family temple. There are thousands and thousands of temples in Japan. Wonderful talk and wonderful slide presentation. Little travel log there. Wasn't expecting that, but of course brought back wonderful memories.
Those are great pictures.
Nicely done.
Very good. Very good.
Well, it was a lovely, extraordinary trip, once in a lifetime. I felt I had great gratitude that I was able to join, and I just fell in love with the country and the people and what we were doing there. I had great teachers around me. A fella couldn't have felt in a better place, and it deepens
Again,
my
I remember
ability to continue on.
In the film, I remember a bit where you are talking and you said something to the effect that Matsuoka, the lineage, all of this had been very real to you, but are important, but now it was visceral. You used the term visceral.
Yeah. I mean, again, we live in a very young country, and I'd known nothing else. You get to Japan, and the weight of the ages is ever present. in the middle of Tokyo, here's this little old temple, just this tiny little temple that they have not torn down. They built skyscrapers around it. But this is how they take care of that which came before, and very serious about it. I mean, you know, I can't imagine some of our cities protecting some little shrine if they wanted to put a multi-story big building in, but in Japan, they stayed. You build around them. Just extremely beautiful country, beautiful culture, and a very gracious and welcoming people. We are fortunate.
So I think if nobody else has anything, we can close. And we usually chant the 4 great vows to close. But the newcomers are not familiar with them, but we do them 3 times. So you'll hear them 3 times. So how we do that? Being harmless, I vow to free them, to Shankar inexhaustible. I vow, are boundless, I vow to render them the Buddha ways unsurpassable. I vow to realize that beings are numberless. I vow to free them, delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dark gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize these are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible.
I vow to end them. Dark
Gates are
gates are
vast.
boundless.
I vow to enter them.
Enter them.
The Buddha way is unsurpassable.
I vow to realize it.
Thank you for your attendance, your patience, and listening. We hope that you can attend the rest of the retreat. The newcomers